Thank you, Madam President. I am happy to come to the floor today to join my colleagues, the senator from Alaska, Senator Sullivan, as well as my colleague from Kansas, to talk about where we are with this administration, or where, unfortunately, we aren't when it comes to prioritizing American-made energy. As has been noted here on the floor by my colleagues, the President has just returned from the Middle East, and it wasn't for a sightseeing trip. It was really all about oil. He was talking about oil. Above all, the President made that trip to ask the leaders of several foreign nations, members of OPEC, to increase their production levels. Okay, we get it. Gasoline prices are way too high. We know that. We've hit national records in recent weeks. They're averaging right now about $5.32 a gallon in my state. That's actually down a little bit from where we were last month, but it's up over 50% from where we were last year. And as has been said repeatedly, and we don't need to say it here on the floors of the Senate, people are feeling it in their homes. They're feeling it in their pocketbooks. Families are. Businesses are. And whether you are in places like Anchorage or Fairbanks, your budgets are stretched thinner and thinner and thinner. And it's increasingly difficult for small tourist operations, whether you're trying to take people out on flight-seeing trips in the air or on the water. Our fishing fleets having to fill up their fishing vessels, but especially, particularly our outlying villages, these villages that are off the road system, that have already faced high prices. Now the prices are astronomical. I met with some leaders from the Northwest Arctic Borough just a few days ago, and they shared with me that in many of their communities, the communities were paying about $5.25 on average, but these were prices that were locked in from last fall when the last fuel barge came into those northern waters and was able to make its way up the river systems. Now, with the first spring barge come, literally in one day, going from $5.25 to over $8 a gallon. That's a lock-in price that they're going to be living with until that next barge. So think about what that means when you're a community that is locked into these extraordinarily high prices. So when that last fuel barge comes, you're going to have small villages that are going to be looking to see how much, not how much do we need to get through the winter, but how much can we afford? They don't have much of a tax base. How much can we afford? My fear is that they're only going to be able to buy as much as they can, and it's not going to be enough to get them through the winter. And so halfway through the winter, in the darkest and coldest, when everything is locked in the ice, they're going to run out of fuel. And you've got to be able to keep the heat on, or everything breaks. And so how do you get the fuel? Madam President, you fly it in. Think about what those costs then become. So for us in Alaska, this is not only frightening, but it has the potential to just be catastrophic as we look at no end in sight for these prices. Now, I don't begrudge the President for meeting with world leaders. We expect him to do this, and I think it's a great idea to do what we can to increase supply to reduce prices. This is kind of the basics of supply and demand. I've championed this for years. Let's increase our supply. But the question is where that energy is going to come from. Where should we focus our time? Where should we focus our efforts? And I think it just has to begin at home. It has to be here. But apparently this administration has decided they're going to go elsewhere. They're going to seek oil from the Middle East. They're sending envoys to Venezuela. They're pushing for a weakened Iran deal, signaling that oil from the two worst regimes in the world could somehow come back online. This makes zero sense to me. It just makes no sense. Why would we do this? Why would we go abroad when we have the resources here? Why choose oil produced at lower environmental standards, like my friend from Kansas just said? You're going to countries that have lower environmental standards and track records when it comes to human rights abuses, that we're just going to turn our eye to it. We're just going to close our eyes and say, that's okay now? No, it's not okay. Why? Why do we give fist bumps to foreign leaders while sucker punching the producers, the refiners, and the gas station owners in our own domestic industry? And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that happen in my state. We've got billions of barrels of oil in our federal areas. We've got a world-class pipeline that is 1/4 full, and a general refusal from the administration to help us do much of anything about it. We can talk about the 1002 area, largest untapped conventional oil field in North America is what is projected, but you're not seeing this administration pushing forward with that, even though Congress mandated this in 2017. Not a chance. They're not moving forward with that. They've halted all development illegally, I might add. But also, take the 5-year plan, the proposed 5-year plan. It's long overdue. Now we're learning that the administration may not hold a single offshore lease through 2028. They're proposing a single sale in Cook Inlet in Alaska after canceling the one that was just supposed to have been held, suggesting that they're okay. They're somehow okay with crimping the only source of natural gas for hundreds of thousands of Alaskans. So again, Madam President, this direction just makes no sense to me. We need a course correction from the Biden administration. Even as we're moving forward in so many other initiatives, we need to have a strategic plan that assures that our own energy security is addressed, and also helping to improve the energy security of our allies. And I believe that we can do this without taking our eye off the ball of what we need to do to reduce emissions, to address the challenges that face us when it comes to climate. But we've got to acknowledge the world has changed. There is still, though, no substitute or equal for American energy. And so what we need is for common sense to prevail over wishful thinking. We need resource development here at home, in places like Alaska, like in Kansas. They need to be our first and our highest priority. And the longer it takes for that to happen, the greater the price that Alaskans will be paying and all Americans will be paying. With that, Madam President, I yield the floor.